Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So guys, unfortunately I'm almost done with all my stem cuttings. There is just one left and I realized why not quickly make a video on this, because a lot of people have been asking me why is it important to let the cuttings callus before putting them into the soil. But before you callus the succulents, there is one important thing, that is whenever you're doing a cutting, ensure that your knife, blade, scissor or any cutting material, it has to be sterilized, it has to be clean. The reason behind that is, in case if the blade, knife or scissor is not clean, there can be a bacterial infection that can happen to the succulent, the place where you have cut, and even before it can callus, there are chances that it might start to rot, or maybe the stem will start to turn darker in color, which is not a very good sign. So it's very important that every succulent cutting, whether it's a stem cutting or if you have done a beheading or if you have plucked out leaves in order for a leaf propagation, you have to ensure that the wound gets calloused. Basically, callus is when the wound gets healed or it gets dried. That's the process when the open wound tends to get sealed. Now once that's happened, only then the root formation will start. That's when the succulent will start promoting roots. Now during this process you have to be extremely careful, because this particular period, that is around 2 to 3 days, mostly it takes around 2 to 3 days for a succulent to callus. Now during this period of time you have to be extremely careful, because this is a very crucial period of time. A lot of beginners make a mistake, that is either they tend to mist or they tend to water the soil, or at times they tend to put the cutting directly into wet soil. Now guys, remember there is an open wound on the succulent and that is very sensitive. Any kind of moisture or water, even a drop of water, if it comes in contact with that open wound, immediately the stem starts to rot, and you will start noticing within couple of days the stem will start turning darker in color. It will start turning soft. Now once the stem starts turning soft, it's not firm anymore, that means that the stem is starting to rot. So it's very important that once you do a cutting, you have to keep the succulent in indirect bright light, but you have to keep it away from any kind of moisture or water. Another very important thing, especially if you're a beginner and if you're doing a stem cutting for the first time, I would always advise you to do a stem cutting in such a way wherein you have at least 2 inches of extra stem. Like you can see in this clip, you can see all of the stems. There is a good amount of stem material on the succulent. Now this is going to work out really well, especially if you're a beginner. Let's say that something goes wrong and you start noticing that a small portion of the stem is starting to turn black. Now because you have around 2 inches of stem, extra piece of stem, you can immediately cut it off and then you can start fresh again. So it's always better, if you are always in a confusion that whether it is going to work out or no, and if you're not very confident, try to take a larger piece of the stem, and this will give you an extra buffer system to work in case if something goes wrong. This is just in case if something goes wrong. Even I do the same thing. Even after doing so many beheadings and so many stem cuttings, I always try to take a larger piece of the stem just to keep it on the safer side. So this is the process how I callus my succulents. Now I have got my succulents indoor. They are going to be here for 2 to 3 days until the callus process is over. The reason behind that is because it's monsoon season and it tends to rain heavily. So I do not want to take any chance. So during the monsoon period, I always tend to shift the beheaded or the stem cutting succulents indoor for at least 2 to 3 days. Once they are calloused, I will then put them out in indirect bright light. Another important thing guys, as I said, I have done these stem cuttings and I'm waiting for them to callus. So I have moved them indoor just for 2 to 3 days. The reason is because I'm in my monsoon season. There is a lot of moisture outside. There is a lot of rain and I do not want to risk my stem cuttings to get rotted. That is the reason why I have moved them indoor just for 2 to 3 days. Now guys, that does not mean that they are going to stay here for a longer period of time. It is just till they get calloused, because if you're going to leave your succulents indoor for a longer period of time and if there are no grow lights, then these succulents will start to get stretched. In fact, they will look really bad once they start to stretch. So I will be checking on them and I will then put it out in indirect bright light. Now guys, I have to wait for the roots to appear. Only then after 2 or 3 days I will put them out in direct sunlight. but until then it's going to be placed in indirect bright light. Now guys, I know it sounds a little confusing, but do not worry, I will be making an update video when they callus and they put out aerial roots. I'll make a complete update video on them, with which it'll make things much easy. So today is the 7th of October, so this is when I have done the stem cutting. So within a couple of days you will be able to see how the process of callus and how the air rooting works, and I will also give you a little bit more details about air rooting, so stay tuned. So guys, if you have any queries, questions or any doubts related to this topic, please do let me know in the comment section. So whenever I'm going to make an update video on this, I'll definitely try to clarify as much as I can. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep propagating.